How have you seen, because one of the themes here at this show is we're seeing more and more humans being brought to life digitally in various ways, sometimes making them look younger, sometimes bringing them back from the dead. In your case, making characters appear much younger. Well, how have you seen that type of technology evolve recently?
I think the artistry has evolved. I think that we used Lola VFX in California to do the work, and I've worked with them many times before. The first time I worked with them was on the first Captain America when we did Skinny Steve, and we shrunk Chris Evans down, and it was the same process. It was frame by frame, and it was just artistry. And I think the artists at these various companies, they are learning more about the physiology and understanding more about what the face does, for instance, and how you actually youth someone and how far you can push it without it looking creepy. And I think the Kurt Russell stuff that we did on Guardians was incredibly difficult, and it took many months to do, and to try and find the point where, at what point does it break and it just is, ooh, that's just not quite right. And I think the skill set has improved. Also, obviously, computing and power and the speed of machinery and all that kind of stuff has helped, because you can then have more iterations, and the workflow can be much better. But the technology, or rather the approach, is still basically the same. That it's frame by frame, going through, trying to find all the nuances and to feather that in and to still make the character look believable.
How have you seen, even in a short span of time between the two Guardians, things pushed forward? In the early days, fur was very challenging. Just in the span of those two movies, how far you were able to push that?
Yeah, I think that one of the interesting things with Guardians is obviously Rocket as a character, and our aim was, I think what they did, I didn't work on the first film, but what they managed to do was to create a character that everyone loved. And so our job was to continue that and not break it. As Steph Zaretti, who was the supervisor on it, said, don't hurt my babies, because I'm trusting these to you. And so my job was to go into it saying, okay, we need to take everything that was great, that was established in that first film, and with all the work that was done, but I want to up it. We want to improve upon it. So how do we improve upon it? And so we went back to Framestore, who built the original model and did some of the original work in the first film. And we challenged them with, okay, bring it up to date. It's like you say, it's 3 years later, almost 2.5 years later. So everything has changed. We've got new fur rendering, we've got new facial shapes, we've got new rigging systems. So incorporate all of that. And then let's also, from my point of view, I wanted to go back to looking at the physiology of a raccoon and say, I wanted to make it more real. I wanted to make it less of a, hey, it's a really cool CG character, to that's a raccoon that's talking, and trying to get to that point. And it's really hard when you've got a 6'2" Bradley Cooper voice coming out of a 2'9" raccoon, and he's standing up on his hind legs, which would effectively, you'd have to break his back in order to do that, and giving him feet in a way that, so there's lots of things that are incredibly unnatural, so you can't make it look like a raccoon. But the aim was to try and, using all the technology at hand, and again using the skill sets of the artists. I think we're all getting better, everybody's getting better, and because of that, you're able to push the bar, and you're able to sort of get things closer and closer to a level of reality that 2 years ago you weren't able to do. So,
how does the fact that there's so many movies going on within the Marvel universe at the same time across the world, and what each movie is doing to push forward technology, impact you guys? Is there a lot of sharing and conversations that go on? There's a bunch of sharing. We're all very aware from a sort of a creative point of view of what others are doing, a little bit. We're sort of looking over our shoulder and seeing what's being done on Black Panther, or what's being done on Thor, or we were in early stages developing stuff, and then we got this message, what you're doing is a little bit close to what's going to be happening in Doctor Strange. Like, okay, what are they doing in Doctor Strange? And so we'd get a quick sneak look at what different companies were working on and where they were at. I'm like, oh, okay, so we've got to avoid that, because we want to try and make sure that our movie fits into this incredible MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But each movie is, the interesting thing I think is how similar the paths we find ourselves going down.
totally independently. So there are moments where, you know, and this, the Doctor Strange, we were going down this particular route, and Kevin Feige, the producer and the, you know, the president of the company said, it's too close, it's too close. You've got to watch what they're doing, because, you know, they're coming out before you, and it will look like you're copying them, and you're not copying them. You've just both come up with the same idea at the same time. So there are moments like that, and I think technologically as well, you know, we would, you know, suddenly I'll get a call from, you know, Dan DeLue or something on another show, and like saying, you know, hey, so what we're doing is this really crazy thing, you should have a look at this, or Jake Morrison, or Jeff Bauman, whoever the various visual effects supervisors of the other shows are, and we talk, but we're also, you know, each movie is considered part of the MCU, but they all stand on their own as independent films, and the whole point is that you could watch everything as a whole body of work, or you could watch each individual movie and it should still be able to enjoy them.